From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
The Ear to There Podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Ear to There, it's time to start the fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Disney Podcast. As always, I am your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and the founder of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. In all sincerity, it is my goal in life to help you and take away all that stress, all that anxiety, and all that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip. Because let's be honest, it takes an awful lot of time. And I want you to focus on having a phenomenal vacation with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. And again, I take away all of that stress, all of that anxiety, and all of that time at absolutely no extra cost to you. So from booking your dining reservations, your FastPass Plus reservations, to finding you the best possible package vacation price, to booking special event tickets, transportation, spa days, golf tee times, babysitting your children. No, scratch that. I'll do everything except babysit your children. And again, I do all of that at no extra cost to you. So let me be your guide. Let me be the Mr. Belding to your Zach Morris, or even your Kelly Kapowski. Either way, let me handle everything while you sit back and play with the band Zach Attack at the max. You can find this podcast, my blog, my videos, and request your free, no obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. This is episode number 134 for the week of August 13th, 2018. Now grab a drink, grab a snack, and as Jesse Spano would say, I'm so excited. No, as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. And let's kick off this episode of the Ear to There Disney Podcast the way we kick off every episode, at least every numbered episode, and that is with the What About Bob segment of the show. So each and every week, Disney legend and Imagineer Bob Gurr comes on the show. He comes on to answer your questions and mine. So to get a question in for Bob, you can call the voice line. That phone number is 267-551-1971. Or you could always email that question to me. That email address is phil@eartotheretravel.com. And this week's and every other week's segment, is that right? Segment, yeah, of What About Bob is brought to you by the Waltland Bus Tour. So each and every week, Bob Gurr takes a busload of people around the Los Angeles area. You make stops in Glendale and Burbank, and you check out all of the important spots in the history of the Disney company, but most importantly, in the life of its founder, Walt Disney. If you'd like to go on a tour, to get tickets, head over to www.waltland.com. All right, and here he is. I say it all the time, the only Disney legend, the only former Imagineer with his own theme song. Here he is, Bob Gurr.
It's What About Bob? Bob Gurr, the legend, creator of the Matterhorn, the monorails in the Haunted Mansion. What about Bob, the Disney legend?
You know what, Bob? I want to really quickly go back to, because you were talking about the Autopia. Was it the Junior Autopia that was designed? Did that? Am I wrong? And did that actually end up in Marceline, Missouri at some point?
Oh no. There's a difference on there. Was a I forget the technical name. Maybe it was called the Junior Autopia. We had a little electric one, but then we had the temporary. I guess maybe it was Junior Autopia, where the Viewliner was.
Okay.
Yeah, that used the regular Autopia cars, but we had wooden blocks bolted on the gas pedal so the little tiny kids could drive that car. I might be wrong. I thought that was called Junior Autopia, but maybe it went by another name. But yes, there was a little, and it wasn't called Autopia. This was just a little, like little kiddie car ride over by Monstro the Whale. And those cars, they did go to Marceline, but that was a standard stock aero development car. They built those and sold them all over America. They were a very common ride system.
So that wasn't one that you designed.
Oh no, that was their own car. They had it for years. Going back to the car that Ed Morgan was driving with Walt in the car,
right?
People label that as an Autopia car. Well, no, it's not an Autopia car. The backstory on that one was in early 61. No, I was 1960. Ed flew me up to Aero Development for the day. He flew my wife and I up there, and then Ed's wife took my wife and drove her around to Palo Alto and all the fancy places to look at. And then I worked with Carl and Ed on the shop floor, and we laid out a bunch of parts and sketched the shape of the car on the floor with chalk. And then I made a sketch on the spot of the car. And by the time my wife and I flew home, the car had all been essentially designed. And Disney knew I was doing it. They were perfectly happy for me to go up and help Ed with a new car for them. So a lot of people don't realize that the standard Aero Development Autopia-like car did look a little Disney-like, and that's because, yes, I designed it.
Wow, that's cool.
And one day.
Thank you so much to Bob for answering yet another question on the show. You probably could tell that was a little snippet of a conversation we had. We'd been talking about the Autopia vehicles earlier, but I thought that was really interesting. And it was a cool tidbit from Bob that I had never heard before. So I wanted to make sure I included it in one of the shows. So thank you again to Bob. And let's move on to the topic at hand on this episode. And that's all about Disney's upcoming streaming service. If you're like me, and since you're listening to this podcast, you probably are, you've been waiting very patiently for this Disney streaming service to become available. It was first mentioned a couple of years ago, and it's a Disney nerd's, for lack of a better term, it's a Disney nerd's dream, right? To have access to the Disney Vault, all the Disney films, original Disney programming, whenever we want. It is a really exciting time to be alive that we get stuff like this. I remember as a kid having to wait for shows. Remember that? When we had to wait for TV shows or for movies to come on, or we had to pop the VHS in and record the show or the movie on our VCR. No more. Those days are long, long gone. My kids can't even figure out why we have to watch commercials sometimes. So this week, we wanted to talk all about what we hope is coming to Disney's streaming service next year. Here to talk all about Disney's upcoming streaming service with me is a man who will be happy only if this streaming service includes the full seasons of the Golden Girls.
I knew you were going to say that.
Chuck Rodriguez, welcome back. It's been too long since you've been on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem. And it's funny because that's exactly one of the items I thought of right before we started recording about what I'm hoping for with the service.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Disney, here's a cool thing I started thinking about the stuff that they could put on. They have so much content that they've produced over the last, 70, 80 years. Like, right. I mean, I know it's insane the kind of stuff they can put on. So I wanted to get, this is your topic, your idea, and it's a really good one. So I want to start off with you. But before we get into the show and everything, how the heck have you been, man? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Well, I moved. I think I've mentioned that in the last couple of podcasts that I'm still in the greater Orlando metropolitan area, but now it takes me almost 2 hours to get to Disney World. So it has to be a reason that I really, really want to go.
So it's not just us coming down. You won't come.
No, that you got to add something to it. You got to be like, you get to come see us, but then also we have reservations at Le Cellier, which is very hard to get. You have to combine.
All right. So I'll remember that for our next trip. We got to up it. What about, all right, this is completely random, and this isn't about anything we're going to talk about. Big shocker. I'm going off on a quick tangent. Did you see the previews or the teasers for the new Jungle Cruise movie?
Of course I did.
What do you think?
Well, the first one, of course, it just is what it is, at least just to prove that, they're finally filming, because we've been hearing about this since, I think, the day after the Pirates of the Caribbean movie first came
forever.
out. But then the second one with the drone footage of the set, set looks exactly like the Jungle Cruise.
When I saw the dock and the ships and the building, I was like, oh my God.
And then the river curving, it's like exactly, I mean, I'm sure that's because, to make the set, seem big, even though it really isn't. I'm sure that's the reason, but it looks exactly like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I got to tell you, man, for me, I've had a man crush on The Rock since I was like 18 years old. So The Rock plus Emily Blunt plus one of my favorite Disney attractions ever. Even though you once said you wouldn't mind if they tore it out because they have Skipper Canteen now. I'm excited. But
in fairness, I think if I wasn't thinking it, I mean, if I didn't say it, I was definitely thinking it. I have said that if the movie is successful and becomes a franchise like Pirates of the Caribbean, then they would have to remodel the ride completely.
I mean, if it's a hit, I think it's safe to say we'll have Dwayne The Rock Johnson animatronic somewhere on that ride. Like maybe with his arm around Trader Sam, kind of talk to him, or doing
I wonder how the Trader Sam character is going to fit into the movie.
It's got to be in there.
I'm actually curious about the most. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, he's got to be in the movie, absolutely. And I want to see The Rock give the people's elbow to Trader Sam. That would be the best thing ever.
Is that a wrestling move?
Come on, Chuck, it is. You got to do some Rock research. We're talking about Disney movies and shows.
I mean, at least I know enough to know that he was a wrestler before he became a movie star.
Yeah, he was. He's one of the better ones of all time. But yeah, that's a wrestling move. The rock bottom and the people's elbow. I'm sorry, were they call them finishing moves in wrestling.
Oh, okay.
There's big moves, and he would say, we'll check you into the SmackDown Hotel. Yeah, he was a great, very charismatic, fun wrestler. But yeah, the movie looks great. Listen, we know nothing about it other than the set and that little teaser. But oh my God, I'm excited. I can't wait. All right, so on to the actual topic, and it's Disney. What are they calling it? The working name is like Disney Flicks.
I haven't seen that. No, I didn't even know that.
No, it's like the joke name of what it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What online nerds like you and I are calling it.
That makes sense because that's the easiest way to identify the fact that this will be a version of Netflix because they invented the concept. So,
right. So, what it's going to be is it's exactly that. It's a streaming. It's like a Netflix or a Hulu or an Amazon Instant Video, basically that has all of Disney's content, or what we hope will be all of Disney's content, available on your TV or your device, mobile or streaming or wherever you are. Basically, it's Disney on demand all the time. We got a couple kind of ideas. It's going to be, let's see, what's going to be on it. It's going to be the Disney classic movies. So you're looking at all the animated movies.
Right.
You're looking at. I saw, was Star Wars included, or is it
no.
only? Right.
Only any movie that's released in theaters after 2019.
Right. So it's not. So the other stuff will stay on Netflix. The other Star Wars stuff. But you will be getting a new Star Wars animated show, written by Jon Favreau, an original show.
I thought it was gonna be a live action show.
Oh, live action. I'm sorry, not animated.
It has $100 million budget. I hope that's not a stupid cartoon.
No, because I get confused because there's also one that's being. Oh no, that's what it is. Star Wars is going to be based on the Clone Wars. That's where I got confused. the Clone Wars was a cartoon,
Yes, yes.
but the new series will not be. That's by Jon Favreau. And then you're going to have shows based on Monsters, Inc. and High School Musical, which I don't get. I don't know anything about the High School Musical thing. Do you?
I did see the first two because it was such a thing and everyone was talking about it. And I watched it. I smiled for like half a second and then never watched it again.
I think High School Musical was like when Amy and I, before we had kids. So it was like, I think she watched all of them. I didn't. But what else do we have? We have, so all the upcoming movies that Disney will put out are going to go to this. So the old Marvel movies, from what I understand, won't. So stuff like the Avengers, Iron Man, all of that will stay on Netflix. But then the new stuff, so what is it? The
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel. Yeah, that'll be the first one that goes straight to the Disney streaming service from the movies. So
basically, any movie Disney makes from now on, they have exclusive rights to put it on their service. But anything else, they probably have already made a deal with somebody else.
right, and like so Disney acquiring Fox is a big deal because Fox has put out 20th Century Fox has put out 300 movies since 2000. So looks like Disney will have the rights to all that to put on their streaming services. They won't get stuff like The Simpsons. The Simpsons will stay on. I think it's on Hulu. Which, by the way, I can't believe there's 600 Simpsons seasons. So all that, I can't believe you can get all those on demand. That just blows my mind. But you can. You can get.
And binge that?
What's that?
Imagine binging that.
No. I could do the first, I think the first, from seasons 4 until 12. That's The Simpsons in its heyday. I don't watch it now. I haven't watched it in years. But I love the old ones. The monorail episode of The Simpsons when Conan O'Brien was the head writer for that show.
Right.
That's just some really good ones. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about what we wanted to do, which was your idea again, a really good one. Let's talk about what Chuck and Phil want to see on this new Disney streaming service. And let's start with you, because I think my list and your list is, well, no, I don't think it's going to be completely different, but I think it'll be different.
No, and it's not even much of a list, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
So you didn't really do a lot of work for this episode. That's fine. I wrote some stuff down, so I have a bit of a list. But
I had a 2-hour conversation with my family and their best friends last night about this, and especially because inspired by the fact that I just moved. And I moved into a brand new apartment complex. And I guess most apartment complexes nowadays, they already have their internet and their cable built into it. So I have no choice but to have cable again, plus the internet service. And because of that, I got rid of Hulu. And I was going to get rid of Netflix and whatnot. And then this announcement happened to come out this week. And I've been thinking about it. And my first thought actually has to do with Hulu and the Golden Girls, because Golden Girls is currently on Hulu. And apparently, 20th Century Fox owns 70% of Hulu, so now Disney owns 70% of Hulu. So I thought originally Disney was just simply going to Disney-fy Hulu. That's what I thought was going to happen, but I don't think that's what it sounds like now.
I didn't realize that they own 70% of that. That's crazy.
I checked that an hour ago before you started talking, just to confirm. But yes, they do own 70% of Hulu.
Wow, so they're going to be making money on Hulu and on their own. I think you're right. I don't think they're going to.
No, I don't. I think they're going to keep it separate because they did say that their service would be less than Netflix because, of course, it has less programming.
Right. Netflix is massive.
It's
tremendous.
But so that made me think about what I was hoping would be on the service was not only the Golden Girls but all the other sitcoms that were made through Touchstone Television back in the 80s and 90s, which are not on any service, and you can't even find them on DVD, like Empty Nest and Nurses, and because they were all spin-offs of the Golden Girls back in the day. And but I have a feeling Golden Girls and some of those great sitcoms would just stay on Hulu. There's no reason for them to go to Disney.
So all right, so what other sitcoms were we talking about? I'm trying to think of what you said.
Well, Touchstone Television made Home Improvement.
Okay.
They made the two spin-offs of the Golden Girls, which was Empty Nest and then Nurses. They were all on together on Saturday nights on NBC. So Home Improvement. What was that other one that was on around the same time of Home Improvement with the lady? I forgot the name. The lady who lived in Alabama and she worked in a
Grace Under Fire.
What?
Grace Under Fire.
Yeah. Yes, that one, for example. That was a Touchstone television show. I can't really think of any others off the top of my head.
Yeah, so all those shows, the shows from the 90s that you and I watched. I watched all those shows.
Yeah.
I never heard of the Nurses show, to be honest with you. I don't know what that is.
They don't have seasons. It was a spin-off of Empty Nest, which was a spin-off of the Golden Girls. But sometimes they would all like visit each other.
Yeah, they had crossover episodes. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm hoping, for that would be great. Like that kind of stuff. But if it stays on Hulu, that's fine. I won't buy it. Because I'm going to be already paying for Netflix, I'm sure, and for.
Well, that's, and I'm sure there's listeners have the same dilemma. If you do move into brand new homes or apartment complexes or subdivisions nowadays, you have these things built in. So, like, it's kind of crazy for me to have Hulu just for the reruns of shows from the 80s and 90s and a few original programs. Because the only other reason you would want Hulu is to watch whatever was on ABC, NBC, or Fox the night before if you had no cable and no DVR.
Right. Right.
But now I don't need to because I'm forced to have cable in my apartment.
Right. You're forced. Somebody came in at gunpoint and tied the cable cord back up for you.
They did. When I signed the lease a week ago, I did. They had a gun to my head. No, just kidding.
It's rough down there in Central Florida, man. I'm glad
the real estate market is a lot rougher than you thought.
I'm glad I got out of there when I did. So all right. So I do have a list. So a couple things I want to see, right? All right. This is the complete Disney nerd in me, right? Chuck, so go with me on this one.
No problem. I'm sure I appreciate at least most of them.
All right. So we'll go back and forth. But I want the Disney must-dos with Stacy at home. I want that on my TV.
Stacy at home? What the heck is that?
No, the must-dos with Stacy. You know Stacy?
Oh, I thought you meant there was a show at some point called Stacy at Home.
No. I want the Disney must-dos with Stacy on my TV at home.
I hear you now. Thank you.
Because, listen, for us, we get to Walt Disney World a lot. We do. I mean, we're there all the time. For people who live way out of state. But the one thing we like to do a lot is to do like staycation nights where we stay in. We play Disney board games, like Disney trivia. We'll watch a Disney movie. We'll cook, a version of Disney food. And we will go on I go on my laptop. We don't have a big, computer screen. I have a small MacBook Air. And we'll play clips from the must-dos with Stacy while we're eating dinner just to kind of feel like we're at, our resort in Walt Disney World. So to be able to have that, and I know you can hook up your computer to the TV. It doesn't come through very well with quality-wise anyway, unless you have Apple TV, which I don't have. So I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go on my TV with my kids and watch that while we're, have that on the background while we're having dinner, while we're playing Disney trivia. Or I know it's corny, and I'm sure you're going to respond in turn that way.
I've tried in the past minute and a half. I've gone through so many comments that I could make, one worse than the other.
All right, so rip me apart if you want, but that's something that
No, it's actually, to be very honest, once in a while my vulnerable human side comes out. That is actually very cute that the five of you do that. That's actually very cute.
Yeah, I mean we're all nerds. My kids have no choice and no prayer in life, but because they're going to inherit our DVC points when we're done. When Amy and I kick the bucket, who's getting them? Then Alexa's going to sell them probably to the highest bidder. But but that's something we really enjoy. So I want to see the must-dos with Stacy on my TV. Another one that I was thinking of do you remember the Disney Travel Channel shows? Like the
Yes, but was it really much of a series, or was it like the same 4 episodes over and over and over again?
Yeah, that's fine with me. If that's all it is. Maybe they could put out some new. Listen, we already know they're going to have original programming on this thing, so why not original tour? Like break out Samantha Brown. I don't know what she's doing these days. I don't know if she's still doing Great Hotels or whatever. I never see it anymore unless it's a web series. I never see it on the Travel Channel. But get her to do a whole hotel series where each night or each episode she's staying at a different Disney resort. I want to see, this will help me out a lot, so I don't have to explain it to my clients. Just like
True.
people are like, "What's Art of Animation?" Like I'm like, "Watch the Samantha Brown special on Art of Animation." That would help me. But I want those original shows. I used to watch them. Chuck, you want to hear about how nerdy I am? You already know. But
I mean, I do, but go ahead. You're not going to talk.
So when our oldest Alexa was a baby, Amy had preeclampsia and she had super, super high blood pressure after she came home with Alexa, and she couldn't. To say that she couldn't be trusted sounds harsh, but she couldn't really be trusted to feed her because overnight she would always try to feed her a bottle, and she couldn't because she would fall asleep while feeding her. And
Right.
Alexa was 7 pounds or 6 pounds. And, that's not really acceptable to fall asleep while feeding your child. So what I would do, and I would say to her, she would say, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, let me feed her this bottle. And I would say, all right, here's what we're going to do. I will sit next to you and watch you. And if you start falling asleep, I have to take her. And she'd be like, okay. And almost every time she would start falling asleep. So I would take her into her bedroom because she was in a bassinet night room. I would take her into her bedroom, put her in, we had one of those, not a rocking chair, but a glider that kind of glides back and forth with the footrest. And I would feed her bottle while watching those Disney specials on my phone. On the phone, on my from the Travel Channel. So that, again, maybe it's a memory that triggers that. It's sentimentality, call it vulnerability, if you will. But I want those. I like those. So I know it's nerdy again, but I like it.
Well, that's a good segue to the only thing that I guess, because I didn't make a list like you, but I did have a couple things in mind. And do you remember, I want to say it was on the Disney Channel, but it might have also been like on Saturday mornings on NBC, like after Save the Bell. I don't know why I think this. Remember the cheesy show, Walt Disney World Inside Out?
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah. I think you and I have talked about that before on this show.
We might have, yes. So that, which I think I have seen on YouTube, that somebody definitely has uploaded some of them on there. So I would like to see a 21st century version of that, which I don't see why it couldn't be in original programming. They can go so much more in depth, and they can cover all 6 Disney parks around the world.
Yeah, I that's an awesome idea. Hopefully Disney executives will listen to this podcast.
Or somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows a Disney executive.
Yes, I know. What's funny is my friend who works out in California, who you know very well, is up for a Disney executive job and is waiting to hear back if he gets it. So if he gets it, he could be one of those Disney executives that I say, listen to the podcast, get good ideas. Because God, I'm sorry, man.
To me, it makes so much sense because in these past 10, 15 years, it's exploded where like normal folk who have nothing to do with Disney whatsoever has started these blogs or these YouTube channels with incredible stuff. And even like, for example, my favorite one, I forgot the name of it now. We were actually watching it last night, but they find videos and upload them to YouTube of really rare Disney stuff that's been on TV in the past, like Walt Disney World's 10th anniversary celebration, that was on some random night in 1981 on NBC on a Saturday night or something, or Disneyland's 30th anniversary, or even news segments on when they did kind of do a story behind, what's happening. So why Disney obviously could just take that over on their own, and they could make it for those of us who are fans who I guess what do they call that, like crazy fans? I forgot the name. I'm thinking of it now. Maybe, yes, maybe fanatic.
That's where the word fan comes from, right?
Yeah, I think so. So it would make sense because like right now, like I have certain Disney blogs that I read on almost a daily basis, which from around the world, bloggers from around the world who keep updating rumors and construction progress on projects in the Disney parks all over the world. Well, why can't Disney do that themselves?
No, that's a good point. I think, was it J.D. Roth that hosted Disney Inside Out?
Oh my God, was that his name? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's like redheaded guy.
Yeah.
He ended up hosting Funhouse. If you remember, it was like the show on after Double Dare.
Yes.
Which, by the way, they brought Double Dare back. Have you watched it?
No, I have not. But now that is it on Nickelodeon? Because I have it now.
Yeah, it's on Nickelodeon.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up and my DVR and record an episode now that I have cable again.
So it's really good. It's the same show.
Right.
So we watch it with our kids. We've watched. I don't know. They have seriously this summer put out like 30 episodes of Double Dare. What's real? I know it's not Disney, but it's really cool because it brings back my childhood.
Back in the day, wasn't like almost every other episode or more, the grand prize was either a trip to Disneyland or a trip to Disney World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now they don't have that connection with Disney. So
sure, of course not.
You know what they give away almost every episode now? A trip to Space Camp, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah, that is cool.
But yeah, so they have, what's really neat about it is, okay, Mark Summers is back.
Right.
He's now the announcer. And
yeah, because apparently he can't get dirty anymore because he has OCD.
No, he does get dirty on the show. He does.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he's had OCD. He had OCD when he used to.
Yeah.
Back in the day as well. But yeah, I've heard interviews with him. He's first of all an amazing guy. He has gone through so much in his life as far as battling cancer and all these other things. He had a car accident in New York in a cab a few years ago, several years ago, I think, that left him. He needed like major facial reconstructing surgery and crazy stories about him. But yeah, so he's back on the show. He's the Harvey role now. Remember Harvey with the beard?
Yes.
And there's a girl named Liza Koshy who is the host, and she is a YouTube star. So just like you were just saying about all these people who, you know, have blown up over the last 10 years with their YouTube channels and podcasts or blogs or vlogs or all this stuff. She's one of them. Like anybody can be famous now for being a YouTube star. It's crazy. But she's actually kind of talented. In the beginning, I was like, this girl's like, she doesn't have it. She seemed nervous. But now on the shows, I really like her. I think she's doing a good job. But yeah, Double Dare is awesome because it's back. So you really have to watch it. I know, another tangent. But I think anybody who's listening to this podcast is probably around our age and has a huge soft spot for Double Dare. So
let me help you bring it back to our topic, which it just jumped into my mind. I didn't think of this last night when we were talking about it with my family forever. Disney could start game shows.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have any game shows. They could easily do game shows based on Disney trivia and stuff.
Oh, if they need a host, I mean, I've been doing this podcast for a while. People know who I am. I gladly move out to California to host a trivia show. Yeah, they could. I think game shows with kids and with families would be awesome. Like, really, really neat to have on that channel or on that streaming service. So, yeah, a couple other things that I wanted to kind of bring up. One thing that it's on, you can find it on YouTube, but I guess they can't get the rights to it to put out. But I'd like to see it released because it's so bad that it's hilarious. Is the Star Wars Holiday Special? Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have a couple times.
It's horrible, right? It's terrible.
Yes, of course. I watched it mostly for B. Arthur, of course.
Yeah, right. She is a bartender on a different planet, right? She's an alien bartender in that. I think she has a big song. Yes, there is a song. Which is funny by itself that it has a musical component to it. And it's all about Chewbacca and his family. And I think it's Chewbacca's missing for the Wookiee version of Christmas. It's just a terrible concept, terrible execution. It's so bad that it's great. And I know that because of the Star Wars stuff, they can't get the rights. No, they wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, if you have a minute or an hour to kill, that might be something to look up on YouTube. It's worth it. So here's one, right, that I know you remember because we've talked about this, and it's something that I miss. And 1997 was when I visited some friends on the Disney college program. I think, was that the year of your college program? Yes, January to May. So yeah, we probably bumped into each other and didn't even know it back then. Probably. But yeah, so 97, I visited my friends on the Disney college program. I got to see what it was like. I loved it. 98 was when I went back for my own college program. Right in the middle of all of that, 97 to 2002, on Disney Channel. It started off, I think, one or two nights a week, and then it ended up being 5 or 6 nights a week, was Vault Disney. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I loved that. So what it was they showed old Disney movies. So things like the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or Treasure Island or Toby Tyler and the Circus and stuff like that. They showed old Disney cartoons, shorts, like original productions, all kinds of stuff. They would play it every night. I still remember the old, intro with Mickey unlocking the vault and the camera would go in and you would watch. I loved Vault Disney. So if they could bring that back, I'd be happy. I don't care if it's not updated. I don't care if it's not a new show. Just give me the old Vault Disney stuff and I'd be thrilled. I loved that. And it really got me more into Disney as, with 19, 20, 21-year-old.
So I guess I technically thought the same thing, but I don't think the odds are it wouldn't come back as Vault Disney because it would just come back as two separate things. One, they would just upload on demand every single old cheesy Disney movie, live action movie that ever existed. And then two, because all the other thing, the only time I watched Vault Disney was for the when they would show the old the old TV specials when they would celebrate the anniversary or the opening of Walt Disney World or the 15th anniversary of Disneyland or whatever. But those are all available on YouTube because somebody in the world has always recorded on VHS back in the day or beta, and then somebody has uploaded it to YouTube. So if they separate it and they do both things, it wouldn't necessarily have to be Vault Disney. It wouldn't be one show.
So what you're just doing is you're just tearing down everything that I say.
Well, but because it's on demand, so no matter what, it would be torn. It wouldn't be like you turn on Vault Disney and then you have a choice of the episode where they play 20th League of the Sea and then the episode when they play Disneyland's 20th anniversary special.
Right, you could just go to those
things individually. Right.
I know, Chuck. I get it. I understand. I understand what a streaming service is. I'm just saying, going back in time, the stuff that I would like to see replicated on the Disney streaming thing.
Another format. Okay, I understand now.
Yes,
in
all those
format,
things.
What you recall watching between 1997 and 2002. Got it.
And you're right. And all those things you can find on YouTube for free right now. Yeah. Like you want to watch 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I mean, it's terrible quality though. So obviously, I'd be happy paying $10 a month if I could have it in perfect quality.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And I just remembered. There's some great old. This is something that's not on my list. But there's some great old Disneyland park videos and stuff like that, video of the Walt Disney Circus in Disneyland. That was a crazy concept.
Yeah.
That never ever worked out. Where a lot of people don't know that there was a circus. I think it's where Tomorrowland is now. Maybe am I crazy? I forget where exactly it was. But there was actually a circus in Disneyland. It would have parades down Main Street with the animals going to the big top because it was Walt's dream to have a circus there. It was when Walt was alive. I think it was 57, 56, something like that.
Yeah.
They have all great footage and video of that. I remember talking to people at the archives when we were there, and when we were on the Disney Studio lot, they have buildings that just have video of everything Disney's ever done. Just literally buildings that have just shelf after shelf after shelf of the original copies of all these videos. It's crazy how much stuff they have. It's nuts. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's the whole point. So we just have to hope that they start to put some of that stuff on the service, the stuff that we want to see the most.
Yeah, Chuck, when I was in the archives, I think I talked about this with my friend Lauren on an episode a while back when we talked about that day. In the archives, and this isn't video, this is all newspaper and photographs, but you have access to these literally hundreds of black binders that you can take off the shelf and open, and it's like every article written about Disney ever, and then it's all these pictures of Walt and his family and people he brought to the park and Disneyland's construction, and all those photos are there. All that stuff, they've archived everything. It's amazing.
You mean the archive of every corporation on Earth ever?
Listen, it's a little different when it's you're seeing the the steel beams for Sleeping Beauty Castle get put into the ground than it is to see, I don't know, Philip Morris's building get built. It's a little different.
Yeah, the way that they made they designed the first box of cigarettes or something.
Yeah, it's a little different. So, all right, just God, you're here to bust my bubble every time we talk about something good.
It wouldn't be if I didn't burst at least a few bubbles every episode.
No, it's a good point. Yeah, you got to make. You're like, oh, he's too happy today. Let me bring him down a few notches.
I'm like, I know life is not that good. There's no reason your voice is this chipper at the moment.
No, I am chipper. Listen, I'm sitting here with a broken foot still. I got another couple weeks left in his darn boot. And yeah, I have things going bad in my life right now. I have things that are making me unhappy. But I'm also, you know me, Chuck. I'm a dork, and I love this stuff.
I know you do.
Excuse me, and I love talking about it. And yeah, I am like you and I have hung out in person a billion times. When I talk about this stuff in person, I'm no less enthusiastic than I am right now.
I agree. Very genuine.
It is.
It
Yeah.
certainly is.
It isn't. This isn't a show. Like, what is a show? But
It's
I'm
a show.
not putting.
It's not a show.
It's a show, but I'm not putting on a show. Anyway, all right. So another one. How about this one? Disney Afternoon cartoon series. Were you into the Disney Afternoon at all?
Yeah, sure. Tailspin was my favorite.
Tailspin's awesome. It's a great show with Baloo and what's Kit, Cloud Kicker, and Don Carnage, the bad guy. Remember Don Carnage?
Yeah,
I forget what the girl's name on that show was. Rebecca. That's what it was.
Yes, because I used to think that it was just like Baloo and Rebecca were just like Sam and Rebecca on Cheers.
Oh, they
Like
kind of were.
They had the same dynamic.
Wow, I wonder if that was on purpose. That's actually a really good.
Yeah, they could have been inspired. I mean, that was back when Cheers was at its peak, where it was like #1 every year.
And Cheers is my favorite all-time show. Cheers is Golden Girls.
Your Golden Girls?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a show.
It did overlap. It overlapped for most of the time.
Yeah, and that's a show that I like. I've seen every episode. I can recite lines from probably 100 of those shows.
Oh, then you would appreciate this. So when a couple days after I moved in and I began to have everything, kind of set the way I did, and all the new furniture that I ordered started arriving, and I sent pictures to my brother, who is also obsessed with Cheers, and he immediately said, did you dream about your space? Do you know what episode he's referring to?
Did you dream about your space? No, I don't know which
When
one.
Norm started to decorate.
Yeah.
And then they
The interior designers
get a job with other people because they insist on their decorators being gay.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, the interior designers that come in. Yeah. The people. That's funny. So, all right. So, wait. So I'm going to get back to Disney Afternoon. So there was, of course, Tailspin. Was DuckTales? I think DuckTales was a part of Disney Afternoon. Yeah, and I'm talking original DuckTales, not. Listen,
not the new.
The one they have on now isn't very good. I don't like it. My kids don't even really like it, so that's saying something. Right. They'll watch any cartoon. I mean, they go, Gummy Bears, Darkwing Duck, of course, and Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. Yeah, and they're making a Chip 'n Dale live action movie, from what I've heard. Which obviously will go right to the Disney streaming service. But I wonder, they haven't released if that'll be Rescue Rangers. I have to think it will be, right?
No, not necessarily.
You don't think?
They could go the route of Christopher Robin, which actually I saw last night with my family.
So did I.
Did you yesterday?
Yeah, we saw it last night. We took the kids. We got back from our shore vacation yesterday afternoon, and we didn't want the kids to be bummed out because we're like that. Right. As parents, we're like, oh, we don't want to disappoint our children. So we went to see Christopher Robin at the movie tavern last night. What did you think?
Well, it disappointed me, but I think I had way too high expectations.
That's funny, because I went in with no expectations.
I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute, and I didn't fall asleep, unlike 3 of the 4 other adults that were with me. I didn't fall asleep at all. But they could have gone in, just like Chip 'n Dale, they could go in a million different ways. Like Chip 'n Dale could go classic 1940s setting, where like my favorite Chip 'n Dale's episode, the Christmas one, when they're in the tree and
no question, it's the best. Yep.
Yeah. Like they could go that route, or they can go a whole different route and like just like Christopher Robin could have, and stick Chip and Dale in in New York City in 2018. I mean,
that's the Smurfs.
they could go anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't think that's where they should go. But I'm saying, I guess with Christopher Robin, they could have gone in so many routes, even sticking to the original plot, which the plot that they've chosen, which I had read about, and you could see in the trailers what the point is. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't absolutely love it. Like, I don't feel like I'll ever have to see it ever again.
Yeah, just like everything else, Chuck, I couldn't disagree with you more. We loved it. We did. My whole family, I think, again, going with 3 little kids changes it, I think, a lot. Because I sat in between both my daughters, and they just laughed at everything Winnie the Pooh said. They thought Tigger was hilarious. Amy cried, of course. Yeah, to me, we really thought it was great. We were trying to remember all the lines. What I thought was really cool about it was, I thought Winnie the Pooh really got to kind of showcase, like, he was like this wisdom of Winnie the Pooh. Like, he had a lot of one-liners.
Yeah, even though they saying that he's technically not smart, of course.
Right, but everything he said was brilliant.
It was very philosophical. It was brilliant, and that was my favorite part by far.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I listen. Was it a little slow to get started? Yeah, I think the first 20 minutes, I was looking at my kids. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna lose them. Like, there's no way they're gonna be interested in this."
Yeah, and the 3 girls that I went to, they were more than distracted during those 20 minutes, and a little bit irritating.
God,
I usually see movies by myself or only with adults. This going to movies with children, this is a very new thing for me. Very new.
God, you certainly do love kids. All right, so I'm sorry. Back to it really quickly. Back to the Disney Afternoon stuff that I want to see on the streaming service. I said we talked about DuckTales. Do you remember Bonkers? Bonkers the Bobcat?
That was actually a European. It was very, very popular in Europe. More popular than here, by far.
Yeah, so that was... Do you know the story, a little bit the story behind Bonkers? That was that Disney wanted to do a Roger Rabbit cartoon show, for Disney Afternoon, but they couldn't settle on the rights with...
Makes sense, because it was, in cahoots with other companies.
Right, so if you look at Bonkers, he's Roger Rabbit with a different color scheme and a longer tail.
Yeah, makes sense.
He is Bonkers the Bobcat is basically the sketch of Roger Rabbit without color. They made him a bobcat instead of a rabbit, and that's where Bonkers kind of came from. Did you also know that Roger Rabbit was supposed to be kind of the Mickey Mouse for a new generation for Disney? He was going to be their star from the 90s forward.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Because Disney was worried about, and still are, I would think, worried about losing the IP of Mickey Mouse. Apparently that's run out, and they keep what do you call it? It should be in the what is that thing called? Where anyone can use Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes.
Technically, the trademark, the copyright, all that should be gone because Mickey's been around since 1928. But it hasn't. Disney keeps filing for extensions, whatever, and they keep getting to...
In the public realm.
That's exactly right. Public realm.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't lost, obviously, the rights to Mickey, but they were worried about it in the 90s, so they were like, well, we need a new character to carry the Disney company forward, just in case. So that's where Roger Rabbit comes from. If you look at him, he has the same color scheme as Mickey, with the red and the yellow and the blue. Right. Not blue, red and yellow and the black and white. So he was going to be but a lot of disputes between Disney and what was it? Who did it? What was the other? It wasn't Fox, was it? I forget who the other company was. But it was,
no, I don't remember.
Was it Spielberg?
Yes.
So a lot of disputes between the two companies made Roger kind of go away. I don't even know. I know I've seen him at a couple of the Disney DVC events. He used to be out at the Disneyland and Disney World Easter parades. I think the last few years he hasn't been, so I don't think we're looking at a revival for Roger anytime soon.
No.
But I would like to see Bonkers, who, in a roundabout way, Roger was the inspiration for him. All right, last one I have on my list, and you're going to make fun of me for this because we kind of already covered it, but I want to talk about it anyway. and it's the Walt Disney Treasure DVDs. But they're not exactly what we talked about as far as Walt Disney goes. As I dropped something on the ground, I don't think, because you know what I'm talking about? They came in like the tin DVD cases.
Yeah, what was actually in them?
What was in them?
Or whatever were they?
Okay, so the one they were all different collections of different shows and specials. So a couple I have Disneyland USA. So that one has all the construction of Disneyland, videos, interviews with Walt, and other influential people who built Disneyland, the Imagineers and all. Then it has opening day of Disneyland, which is, the entire unedited opening day.
Yes.
So then it has the original ABC, the Disneyland thing. And then it has there was a special that was on TV in 1956 called Disneyland USA.
Dark.
No, it has that as well. You're right. It has that too. And then it's the song, Let's Dance at Disneyland. Let's all dance. That's a great song. I have that on my computer. I listen to it all the time. I got my kids really into that. It's like this cool, like 1950s kind of pop. It's the 50s music. I can't really do it. But anyway, then it has this special called Disneyland USA. And I forget, I think it's Jack Wagner's the announcer. The narrator.
Right.
And it opens with this awesome helicopter aerial shot of Disneyland in 1956. And then it goes into everything is on wheels here, from the parking tram, and you see people getting on the tram, and then people get on the tram from the Disneyland Hotel that would take you to the front of the park. And it's really cool to see. It's all in color. And you see the parking lot that was literally right up to the gate of the park, to the turnstile. It was crazy. So stuff like that you never get to see. I'd also have like the Disneyland TV shows. So stuff like Davy Crockett and the River Pirates. Then there was the complete Goofy, all in like 4 DVDs. The complete Pluto. The complete Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So all that stuff. And you can't, if you want to buy them and collect them now and get all that stuff, it's going to cost you probably $1,000 to get all that. But I want all of that, all of those specials, all of those things on my streaming service. What do you think?
So yes, I would assume they would, but just like with Netflix and Hulu and everything, they'll even have things temporarily. So they can announce, by this particular item will be available July, August, and then September 30th it'll come off, and then there'll be something new on October 1st. So they would just do that.
Are they going to tease us with the vault like they do now with
I wonder, because all the current streaming services don't do that. They actually don't even say it themselves. You always have to find it through articles on other publications that keep track of this stuff for us. Like, for example, I can't think of the one that I use, but it always tells you, by the end, at the end of each month, what is leaving HBO On Demand, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, yada, 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 and then what starts on the 1st of the next month.
Right, because they have...
So Disney they might do a vault thing where they might actually make a big deal of it themselves instead of just letting some other publication just, remind us.
Yeah, like Peter Pan is available between, this summer. Catch it now before it's gone back to the vault for 5 more years. That's not what I want. Like, I know that's probably how they'll do it because, you'll keep paying because they'll have different stuff on all the time.
Right.
But I want that universal access to any Disney animated movie ever. Like, I don't even need it because I own them all on DVD anyway. But I'm just saying, like,
I'm sure it'll has to be for a demand service to work into the future. With this new technology, it has to be a combination. It's just got to be a combination. It's got to be a combination of things that you want to pay because you want access to certain things all the time whenever you feel like it. But then you also want stuff once in a while. You don't want to see the same exact things over and over and over again for the next 20 years. Right. Well, of course, keep paying.
And the original programming, too, I think will be a big one. Whatever. Because, listen, look what Netflix does now. I mean, the stuff that they put out is better than almost any network. AMC, I think, still does a great job. HBO does a great job. But Netflix, I think, they had House of Cards and other shows that are just as big as any other. Look at Stranger Things or stuff like that. I mean, they're just as big as any network or cable show ever done. So,
No, I am surprised with the streaming service. You didn't say one thing that I thought you were going to say, and so I was waiting for you to say it. A suggestion. So, I mean, not for streaming, but for original programming, I could see, obviously us theme park Disney fans that are more about, more into the theme parks than the actual movies and TV shows and things. We know that after Pirates of the Caribbean and now Jungle Cruise, there's so many Disney attractions that could inspire movies or TV shows. But there's no way they could ever take the gamble with these $300 million budgets and famous stars to put them into movies, especially because like Country Bears and Haunted Mansion were horrendous and they flopped. But on a streaming service, they could totally gamble and make some temporary or just a series versions inspired by theme park attractions. That could be the possibilities there will be endless.
as long as I don't get an Aladdin's Magic Carpet, the movie, I'm cool.
What could that inspire? Actually, that could inspire, going on the magic carpet and going around the world, not just in a circle in front of the tiki room.
No, but you're right. Now I'm looking at my park maps now in my office, and I'm thinking, yeah, like a Big Thunder Mountain attraction. They already have a whole story about it. Why not, with a backstory? Why not have an attraction? It's a movie that's based on Big Thunder Mountain. Yeah.
And there have been rumors for years that there has been scripts being made for what they hoped would be big successful franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean, with a whole new version of Haunted Mansion that would have been made by Guillermo del Toro, apparently.
I'm still waiting for that one.
Yeah, you never know. Oh, and Big Thunder has definitely been mentioned, where somebody started making a script, but it just didn't go anywhere. And that's probably because they can't take the time and the money to take the gamble. But you certainly can on a smaller version for just a 2 hour straight to the streaming service movie, or maybe a 6-part series, or even another series.
Absolutely, man. Remember, I don't know, were you an Entourage guy? Did you watch Entourage at all?
I did when it was first out. I haven't seen it since, though.
Because Matterhorn was a movie that Vince starred in on.
Oh, yes.
That he passed on. I think.
Yes.
I think like Colin Farrell ended up getting Matterhorn.
Right.
Vince didn't want to do it because it was a theme park movie. It ended up being a huge hit.
Have you ever heard the rumor? And I've heard this on and off for years and years about an It's a Small World movie and what the plot would be.
No. But
so it's actually a really great concept. The concept would have been because the United Nations in New York. Obviously most of the people who work in the United Nations, they live there with their families. Temporarily near the UN, and there's even special buildings and special housing for people who work in the UN from countries. And it would have been the children of people who worked at the UN who also go to special schools and stuff together in that neighborhood near the UN. And they would have somehow had to have, saved the world by something that they heard their parents are doing and probably screwing up.
So, wait. So what? How does the attraction come into it?
Just the title.
I'm waiting
But I think it's really clever.
No, it's cool. No, it is a good idea.
It's clever.
It is. I was just waiting to figure out where the heck the building is.
I could see where maybe they could have tied it in, and actually the Tomorrowland movie, which was one of the most disappointing Disney movie I've ever seen in my entire life, compared to how much I was looking forward to it. You know how it started in the 1964 World's Fair with them writing The Small World? It could have been that. It could have been set in New York City in 1964, where the family, the people and the kids who are working at the UN could go take the subway and go to the World's Fair whenever they wanted to.
That would have been cool. What's funny is I think about now the book, the Kingdom Keepers book by Ridley Pearson.
Yes,
that could be a series.
Yes. I've never read those. But can you imagine a series about what happens in the Magic Kingdom at night when the rides come alive or something?
The book, listen, you would like the books, even though they're young adult books. They're really good. I've read the first, I think it's 3 I've read when I had Ridley Pearson on the podcast, I was like, I have to be honest with you, I haven't read the books. And he was like, all right, well, we're done with this interview. But he was really nice about it. And I've read them. I think I had read the first books before that, but I've read the next couple, and yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. It's at night, the Magic Kingdom, and each book focuses on a different park. So the first one is a Magic Kingdom one. The last one in the original series ends in Disneyland, and now he's writing a book about, I forget. He's writing a new series, a new Disney series, that I'm going to have him on when he's ready to go with those. But yeah, you would enjoy those books, but I think that would be, there's a scene, and not to spoil it for you, but we talked about it on the show, where where the main characters go through It's a Small World at night, and with the lights off, and the sound and the music off, and the characters come to life and attack them, the Small World dolls, and they bite. They're like biting. They're bad. They're all evil, and they're like biting the main characters. And I just think that would be the coolest thing to see on screen, and probably scary. But Disney let him write it. Like he thought for sure that was going to be cut when Disney got the copy of the book, and he was like, "Well, I'm just waiting for them to cut that," and he got the okay from the lawyers to keep it in.
Wow,
that was really cool. And he actually told me too that when he was preparing to write that part, he and an Imagineer got to ride It's a Small World in Magic Kingdom in the dark with all the lights and the music off.
Right.
And he said he swears, and he told me this on the show. He swore that a doll moved when he was on the ride. He wasn't kidding.
Well, maybe it's like when a body or an animal dies, and then but there's muscle spasms still. Maybe when they're turned off, they still move a little bit. You never know.
Or maybe they're really alive and are going to murder you when you go through. Anyway, Chuck, this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you for this, coming on and doing this episode. And
yeah, thank you.
I'm excited about this streaming service. I really am.
Me too.
I'll definitely be the first day I'm signing up. Count me in.
Yeah.
So thanks again. This is fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to having you on the next show. Enjoy the new bachelor pad. Enjoy the
will do.
Yeah, enjoy the views. I saw the views of the water and the boats, and that's got to be awesome.
Yeah, it's nice living on the coast, but still being an hour from the city in Disney World. It's not a bad idea.
All right, man. We'll enjoy it, and thanks again.
Thank you.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast. Thank you once again to my guest, the one and only Mr. Chuck Rodriguez, for coming by. It's been a while. I want to get Chuck on more often, but he's a busy guy. That Chuck is a mover and a shaker, and he's hard to nail down. So thank you, Chuck, for doing another show. Thanks again, as always, to Bob Gurr for coming on and answering another question. And most of all, thank you to you for listening to the show. Not to sound like Southwest Airlines and say, I know you have a lot of podcast options, but I know that you do. This isn't the only Disney podcast out there. This isn't the best Disney podcast out there. Well, let's scratch that. Maybe it is. According to you, maybe it is. Who knows? But again, all kidding aside, thank you so much for listening to this episode and every other episode I put out there. These shows are a lot of fun, and I just really, really hope you're enjoying it. Most of the comments I get, are extremely positive about the show. So thank you again so much for listening. And if you did enjoy the show, guess what? I want to hear from you, even if you didn't enjoy it. Send me a message. Go to eartotheretravel.com/message and let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think of any other episode. For every person that sends me a message in the month of August, you will get entered into a contest to win a candle from the Magic Candle Company. So thank you again for listening. Thank you for messaging me in advance, or thank you in advance for messaging me. Flip that. Either way, like Willy Wonka says, flip that, turn it around. All right, just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There Disney podcast each and every Monday, and a new episode of It's a Food World, or the Word of the Week, each and every Wednesday or Thursday. So until next time, thank you again so much for listening. Have a phenomenal week. Bye-bye.